Ah, and we're live. Live. I got to turn my headphones up. The song is really loud, but yet, yeah. Okay. Hey, good morning. Oh, what a day. What a day. Tuesday, the 30th of March, 2021. Here we are. We've got Painfully Honest Daily, where we're going to talk about some stuff that is at least mildly newsworthy today, and I'm sure we'll get into other things as well. How's everybody doing this morning, or this evening, or this afternoon, or whenever it is? It's noontime for me, and once again, I did not eat any food. I had like a tiny little breakfast bar like 2 hours ago, but still, yes, John is right. That is the Tim Cook voice. Um, the Tim Cook voice saying good morning. Good morning. I wonder if now that we've got virtual events, he never says good morning, and it's really depressing. I still have yesterday's coffee sitting here, but then I also have today's coffee, and I'm right-handed, and for some reason yesterday's coffee is over here because the coffee cup warmer is over there. Anyway, uh, mm, so yeah, we've got some news today. First off, I usually this folks, a monumental occasion is happening right now. This is the first time that I have worn a multicolor, a non-black shirt on any kind of public venue in more than 4 years. But all of my hoodies are are dirty and in the laundry, so I'm pimping out Restream, the sponsor of this live stream and all live streams here on the Painfully Honest Tech channel. They have been gracious enough to sponsor the channel, and so I can feed my family. And in exchange, I'm encouraging you to go check out Restream, restream.io/join/PHT. Gets you a discount code, and with Restream, you can like stream to a bunch of different platforms. Like right now, I'm on Facebook, I'm on the Twitch, I'm on Periscope, which I guess is Twitter, YouTube, on 2 channels on YouTube. So, and it does match the glasses. The shirt matches the glasses, although it's probably throwing my white balance off. I'm probably very red right now. Oh, Bob. Why have you been wearing black since January, Bob? I'm afraid to ask. Anyway, so check out Restream. Free, you can use Restream free. It's a web-based streaming thing, and it's got all kinds of great features. If you want all the features, then it's a paid service, but you can use it free. Tell them that Painfully Honest Tech sent you, and because that's what they want. They want me to send you over there and become Restreamers. As Jermaine liked to say, why stream when you can restream? So, you know. So anyway, today we've got some stuff to talk about, and the first of which being this piece of news. Apple has announced an event. It is WWDC 2021. It's going to occur in June 7 to 11. Now, if you're not familiar with what WWDC is the Worldwide Developers Conference. So it's not really like a product-centric event, although for the last several years, they've kind of brought out some new products while they're doing the WWDC, and it's kind of become that. WWDC is supposed to be like a 3-day conference for people who develop for iOS or Mac OS or any of those kinds of things, to go ahead, come and learn some of the new stuff and get familiar with new changes in the operating system and, things that people do at conferences. But this year, once again, the conference is going to be a virtual conference. Usually it costs $1,600 to attend this conference, which is not a lot compared to some other conferences, but still a lot. And so, but they're waiving the fee since you're not going to be there. They're waiving the fee. $1,600 is going to stay in the pocket of these developers. They get to sign up. They get to do the things. And for us plebeian consumers, for us, the people who don't really care about developing for any of Apple's platforms, what we care about is, of course, products. What products might we see in June of this year? Now, last year they unleashed upon the world. Well, they announced to the world the whole silicone M1 chip, all that, the Apple silicone chip, and what it was capable of doing. And not a lot of people actually believed them. and not and for good reason, because the M1 Max, it didn't seem like they could be as fast as they you know as they ended up being. But they unleashed that. I think they announced something else. I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember exactly. But we're gonna have iOS 5, iPad OS 15, Mac OS 12, tvOS 15, watch OS 8. And this article that I'm quoting here from Mac Rumors says that it's not clear what kind of products we may or may not see. We have long assumed that we're going to see more. We're going to see an event before this. First, it was going to be March, and we all know what happened. We all know what happened when prognostications were made about March. Some people lost their eyebrows, and March is now ending as of tomorrow, and no event. Some people are saying April, but now it's almost April and we don't have an event. And then it'll be May. And do you have an event in May? If you don't have one in April, when you have one at the end of the first week of June, I don't know. It's been a long time. Everybody keeps saying that we're going to see AirTags and iPad Pros with mini LED, but we're just going to have to wait and see. What I hope is that Apple keeps on this whole idea about doing the computer thing at this event, and giving us some new hardware, because we're due for some new hardware in terms of the Apple silicone. We've got a MacBook Pro 13-inch, we've got a MacBook Air, we've got a Mac Mini. And those were sort of like the proof of concept, like, here we go. Here's how it works. I think it was also really smart for them to start with those, because those are the machines that the majority of people buy. And so they, yeah, they to me, that showed a lot of confidence in the product. They went ahead and put their money where their mouth was. They showed us these machines. They released them at lower prices than they had been previously, at least, in terms of the power that they had. Overall, a good value. As you know, from yesterday's show, my second try at the M1 Mac experience hasn't ended in disaster. It wasn't a disaster, but it's just not going to work for me right now. And so, yeah, here it is, packed up, ready to go back to the Best Buy sometime this afternoon. Sometime this afternoon, after I get done with the show and eat some food and finish this coffee. So, let's see. Bob is asking a question here. What is this question, Bob? Would developers of Linux software come to a worldwide developers conference? Well, here's the thing, Bob. It used to be, I mean, it's always been an Apple specific event, and it used to be called like Apple World or something. I can't remember exactly what it was called. Somebody in the chat will actually remember. But yeah, I can't remember what it was called, but they changed it to WWDC at some point along the way. And so it's really just a worldwide conference for Apple developers, but that would be WWADC. So Macworld, yes, thank you, Jermaine. Jermaine is always on the spot with the information. Much appreciated. So yeah, it used to be Macworld. Now it's WWDC. I guess the idea was it can't be Macworld anymore because it's not just Macs. It's other stuff. So, yeah, it's WWDC. Here's what I want to see: a MacBook Pro 15 or 16. There's been talk of a 14-inch MacBook Pro. We've had rumors just recently about designs for the iMac. There's talk about the iMac coming in colors now, like pink and green. Like, I compare them to like the colors of the Necco wafers packet, which I'm not even sure if the majority of people remember Necco wafers, but I do, and they were kind of candy. They're like the candy that your grandparents would give you that wasn't really candy, like hardtack candy. Do you guys remember hardtack? Hardtack was terrible. Jonathan wants an iPad Pro 16-inch. Man, I can't imagine. I mean, I can't imagine that. Well, I guess I can imagine, because when the 12.9-inch iMac Pro came out, it seemed absolutely ridiculously gigantic. Um, and now it doesn't seem quite so bad, but I think part of that is when they went to the squared off design and they got rid of the bezels, they got rid of like nearly an inch worth of space, so it doesn't look nearly as huge as it once did. But yeah, I don't know if we'll see a 16-inch iPad Pro, but we will see a 16-inch M1 Mac, maybe with this M1X chip that we keep hearing about. Everybody's guessing whether or not they're educated guesses or not, is another thing. But everybody's making guesses, and I personally, I think, would like to see maybe one of those laptops and the iMac. Um, that's what I would personally prefer to see myself. I don't know. You guys tell me down in the comments. Which would you prefer in the comments if you're watching this on the replay, and if you're not, if you're here watching live, tell me down in the chat which you would rather see. Would you rather see a desktop? Would you rather see, would you rather see a laptop? 8-Bit Warrior says that Samsung made an 18-inch tablet. Anything is possible, but yet, did anyone buy the Samsung tablet? If Samsung releases a tablet in the woods, does anybody care? Is the question. Hugo bought a System 76 laptop. I don't even know what that is. What is that? I guess it's a PC. And Michael wants an iBook. So kind of like the iBooks of old, but with a detachable keyboard. I guess that makes sense. I could see that. Yeah, I guess I want to see what the iMacs are all about, because I think if you take the Pro XDR display that Apple has put out for their really expensive Pro computers, the $6,000 display, if you take that design without the holes, because I think the holes are a little ridiculous. So if you without the holes, but if you take that display design and put an iMac inside, I think that would be really cool. I mean, the Razer 27-inch monitor that I'm using right now basically has that design with like just an extended aluminum foot that just sort of sits out, and there's no chin or bezel, not very much bezel or anything like that. If you haven't seen the Razer desktop, like the Razer setup video that I did last week, I think, then go check that out, because I think if we had a MacBook or an iMac that looked like something like this Razer desktop, I can't speak today, something like this Razer 27-inch monitor, the Raptor, then yeah, it would be pretty cool. So I'm more excited about that. I don't. A MacBook is a MacBook. I don't know that there's really going to be a whole lot of change in terms of the design of the MacBook. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I guess this year the question will be, how close do the iPads and the MacBooks get? And what does the M1X based chip really mean for the next step in the ARM chip Apple silicone development, because as Ed says here, uh, looking he's all in for a 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M1X chip in it. However, it needs to support more than two monitors. And I agree. Yesterday I was talking about how that's one of the reasons that I'm taking this MacBook back, is that the M1 Max right now, well, the Mini supports two displays, but the Mini doesn't have its own display, so it still supports the same number of displays. And like right now I have like three displays in front of me, plus this Razer laptop that I'm using. So yeah, I definitely think that they need to get more pro features into this next level. So we'll see if that happens. We'll see if that happens. Jonathan says that the M1X will be greater than the A14X, but A14X will be on par with the current M1. That's quite possible. I'm wondering how they're going to build the architecture for the M1X, because we know that, it's a system on a chip. And so it had, the potential for 8 gigabytes and 16 gigabytes of RAM. And that RAM was shared differently than traditional computers. And then it had, graphics core processors. It had some high speed stuff. It had some more like, low, quote unquote, low speed stuff. I mean, are we going to see 32 and 64 gigabytes of RAM, or are we just going to see 8, 16, and 32? It's going to be interesting to see. I still don't know if you're using this stuff for professional use, I don't know if it makes sense to go out and buy these things like right off the bat. Even though these are the next generation, I would still wait to see if they are all working, because you have to assume that the people who are buying the larger laptops and the more powerful machines are people who have more professional uses for them, and that's really the sticking point at this point. Bob wants an iPad mini because the 10.2 is getting too heavy to hold for usage and YouTube. Man, you just got to get yourself one of those like fold up origami style covers, and then you just prop it right there on your belly while you lay in bed, and you're good. Hugo says, I think 32 gigabyte DDR4 modules are pretty expensive, so 8 to 32. Yeah, but the thing is, like, this isn't DDR4, right? This is something different. Or is it DDR4 reworked into this new format? I can't remember exactly right off the top of my head, but yeah, the iPad right now, the new iPad Air that Jonathan's talking about is a pretty beastly machine. And I just was reading an article while I was pulling stuff for the show today. I was reading an article where they were talking about how the 2018 iPad Pros are like the perfect machine, because they are not showing their age in terms of what they're capable of. And so they're like, I mean, I guess they're kind of like Apple's worst nightmare, because I don't know that I have any need to upgrade to a 2021 iPad Pro when I still have my 2018, which is doing me just fine. So yeah, it's a question. Retethered is talking about the whole idea that an iPad Pro with an M1 chip running a hybrid Mac OS, iPad OS, that could be very cool. I think, I don't know what the whole sticking point is with the pro apps like Final Cut, Logic, etc., Motion, all the pro apps that Apple builds in-house. I don't know what the holdup is getting those over to iPad OS. You would think now that everything's running on the same chip architecture that would happen sooner than later. Lord knows customers have been begging for it for years, But if you want to do any kind of significant video editing on an iPad, you have to go with a third party app like LumaFusion, which, I mean, LumaFusion is a great app, but usually Apple does a better job of with their, integrating their own programs. Uh, is there a black version of the AirPods 3? We're going to talk about the AirPods 3 here in just a minute. And Kevin asks, should I get the iPad Air or wait possibly for the possibly new iPad Pro? I would wait. I mean, at least until we get into April. And if we don't hear anything about an Apple event in April and you really want to upgrade, then the iPad Air, I mean, there's nothing at all wrong with that iPad Air. I mean, and you can get it in pink. But but and like I said, I don't know exactly what kind of performance improvements you're going to see from the iPad Air to the next iPad Pro. I mean, when you think about what the iPad Pro 2018 was, the upgrade of the 2018 to the 2020 was a LiDAR sensor. I think we talked about this yesterday. A LiDAR sensor and one more gigabyte of RAM. So there's literally no difference in those machines. So I don't know. I think if you want a new iPad, I don't know what iPad you have at this moment, but if you want a new iPad, if you need a new iPad or something like that, if you don't hear anything about it between now and a week or two into April, then maybe it's worth going out and buying the Air. However, I'm a fan of the larger iPad Pros. So yeah, I would just recommend kind of waiting for a couple of weeks and seeing, because I would imagine if we don't have an event between now and June, that these iPads that we've been hearing about forever, we're going to see in June, right? So I don't know. So Jermaine asked, does anyone have an iPad, an Apple Pencil, and do you use it? I have an Apple Pencil, but I found out something. If you let the Apple Pencil 2 drain its battery and you don't keep it charged and you let it drain, I don't know, however many times, it will not charge again. And it's $120 like pokey thing. I am so pissed that it won't work. It just won't work. I went on the website to see, and it just won't work. It just won't work. And I wanted to use one, and then I ordered one, and then I was like, well, do I use it enough? I would like to have it for the times that I want to use it, but the times that I want to use it are not as often as I think, justifies now a $250 investment in the Apple Pencil. I really want to get the S Pen for the Note, or not the Note, the S21 Ultra. I want to get the S Pen, but I don't know when that's going to happen. You have to charge the Apple Pencil, yeah. And to me, this is like a fatal flaw. And I don't know why people haven't complained about it. I don't know why I haven't complained about it. I should make a video about this. The fact that it will die and never come back to life if you leave it off off and let it die enough times. So I do have a first gen pencil as well, but I don't think the first gen pencils have that same problem. I could be wrong. I don't know. But I have a first gen pencil. However, I don't have any iPads that work with the first gen pencil. My wife has one. My daughter has one. Neither of them use the pencil. So I love the potential of the Apple Pencil, but I've just never integrated it into what I do. And I'm not a graphic artist. I'm not doing any of that kind of stuff. So Jonathan says the Apple Pencil has so many things you can do, you can use it for, but most people forget what you can do. Yeah. I mean, there's a ton of stuff. And again, it's like, Apple puts the pencil out, and it has all of this functionality, and they sort of run through the functionality while they're having the event, and maybe in the advertisements that sort of follow the event. I think ultimately, but ultimately they kind of leave it. They kind of leave it and don't do anything to sort of reinforce that whole idea. X Plumber says, got the iPad Pencil for the 12.9 Pro and never use it. Got it. Yeah, I got it since I'm a Note user, but the larger screen negates the reason for using it. Yeah, it's not like a handheld thing for sure. It's definitely not a handheld experience. However, like I've always journaled by hand, and I liked the idea of writing in a journal longhand. And I did that some, but I don't know. And the reason that my my Apple Pencil would run out of juice is like, one of the things I use the iPad for is reading at night in bed. And so I would take the iPad, put it down on the nightstand, the pencil would fall off and sort of like slide under the bed, and I wouldn't see it for months, and then it would be all gone. Hey, we got Shelly Saves the Day here from the Facebook. I'm new to the Facebook Live, so thank you, Shelly, for popping over there. New to the Facebook, new to the Twitter. Thank you, anybody who's watching over on the Twitter. Twitch, I've been on before. I'm not really supposed to like simulcast onto Twitch because I'm a Twitch affiliate, but I want to use my Twitch account. So yeah. So yeah, all those people who are non-YouTube watchers who are watching right now, thank you very much. Say hi in the chat so that I know what countries can be heard from. Anyway, Orbit's here, and I'm wearing a red shirt. It's true. Partially to pimp the sponsor, and partially because all of my hoodies are in the laundry. So anyway, we don't know what's going to happen with this Apple stuff. WWDC, at least we have dates. We know that especially if we don't have an event between now and June, we will see new products. What will they be? We're hoping some computers, probably definitely at some point between now and then, iPads. And then, well, there's I guess we should talk about this. The whole AirPods 3 situation. So lots of folks have been talking about AirPods 3. There's been lots of discussion about it. Toward the end of last year and more recently, we have seen like a lot of prognosticators discussing the possibility of AirPods 3, but the latest reports that we're hearing, and they've sort of start to trickle in. Ming Chi Kuo had something, I think, a week or so ago. We're not going to see AirPods Pro probably until quarter 3, or not AirPods Pro, AirPods 3. We're not going to see AirPods 3 until quarter 3 of 2021. And I would have to imagine that that's a soft date as well. Now, our friend of the show, John Prosser, earlier in March said that he was pretty sure that they were gonna have the AirPods 3 at the event that didn't happen. But I guess yesterday on his Genius Bar podcast, he said he had like really good source that said it's not gonna happen. Honestly, like, and I'm trying to think, like, so this is a replacement for the AirPods 2, which were a replacement for the OG AirPods, right? Does anybody care? Does anybody want AirPods 3? Like, what are they going to bring to the table that's different than AirPods 2? Is it going to be a new form factor? Is is it going to be a new form factor that maybe mimics something like the Pixel Buds or the Samsung things or what just came out, the OnePlus thingies that are more like that are more just like little things that go in your ear without the stick. We lost half the stick with the AirPods Pro. Um, and I was talking with Alt Dad Tech because he got the Samsung Buds Pro Plus Pro, whatever they are, when he picked up an S21 Ultra, and they are more discreet. You know, they just sit in there. They just sit in your ears, but but at the same time, I feel like the AirPods and like the stock sticking out of your ear and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of an AirPods trademark. And one of the things that is a big deal about AirPods for a lot of people is the status, the social proof, the status symbol that they are. You know, you're walking around, you got AirPods in, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know how that's changed in terms of having the AirPods Pro now and now the AirPods Max, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I I think that Retethered might be right here. A new design that mimics the AirPods Pro, but still pretty much the same. And my problem with that is the original AirPods sounded pretty blah, but they worked so well, and they kind of like blazed a trail for wireless headphones that weren't annoying because they hooked up so easily and that kind of thing. And it was that novelty and how well they worked with Apple devices that made them attractive. Like I was willing to suffer a little bit of, loss in fidelity if I was going to have the convenience of those features. However, with the AirPods Pro, they sort of stepped up and brought sound quality with them along with noise canceling and everything else. And I know I saw somebody up here talking about how AirPods Pro didn't fit very well in their ears. Um, I think yeah, Jonathan was saying that AirPods Pro didn't fit very well in his ears. Um, I think that that's probably a thing for some percentage of everybody who uses the any headphone. The one thing that you could knock the AirPods with though is that when you buy a set of premium headphones, like $250 for a set of earbuds is a pretty hefty amount of money for a set of AirPods. So when you buy a set of AirPods for $250, if it was any other company, you would get multiple sizes of buds, multiple. You would get silicone, you would get foam, maybe they would be comply and branded that way. Those are very good. I know Apple's design might prohibit that. However, it's not a one size fits all kind of deal. So I think Apple has to figure out some way to satisfy the customers who maybe don't get a perfect fit when they put the AirPods Pro in their ears. I just, for me, I can't find myself caring very much about a third iteration of the original AirPods. I know that they're not for me at this point. They're not for me. They're for the folks who want AirPods but can't or refuse to or whatever spend $250 or $550 for the other AirPods. I get it, but I hope that they come in and they're like $99. Um, $99 would be a great price point and a little bit more reasonable for a lot of people. A lot of people, they're not audiophiles, they're not headphone geeks. They've never spent they've never spent hundreds of dollars on a pair of headphones. Most people would spend $20 at the airport or whatever. So I would think that Apple needs to kind of bring that price point down. Um, so Bob brings up the Soundcore Liberty Air 2 earbuds. El Jefe Reviews talks highly of them. Also, I mean, I had them too. I didn't have a chance to do a review of them, but they are super solid and they're not very expensive. They're certainly comparable to. And the Liberty Air 2s, do they have noise canceling, or I'm not sure, but they definitely have a better fit than the original AirPods. They have better sound than the original AirPods, and they are significantly cheaper than the original AirPods. So yeah, it's one of those things where I think that Apple has to sort of, like they did with the iPhones, bring the prices down toward the rest of the world, and give more people the chance to get AirPods in their ears. So that's my thought, at least. And the Liberty Air 2s, Soundcore in general. Soundcore is a company that's owned by, or the parent company is Anker, and Anker, Anker, they make a lot of really good stuff. In fact, like, I was looking around today, and Anker has on sale on Amazon a bunch of their EUFY home security stuff on sale. And the Eufy stuff is actually really good. Like, I have a Eufy camera outside the studio. I have a Eufy doorbell that's like, it's like a ring or something like that. And I have a Eufy camera on the back. Um, and Bob brings us the price of the Liberty Air 2s. So $79 on Amazon. And they might be cheaper now. That a lot of times Soundcore will have some pretty good deals on their stuff. But Liberty Air 2s, 70 something dollars. The Soundcore Q10s, which are not noise canceling, but they're wireless. They have like a high-res audio certification and like 60 hours of battery life. They're really, really good. And they cost like $30 or $40. I think you can get them on sale for $40. And then they have noise canceling ones. The Q20s were their first version of their noise canceling headphones. And then they came out with the Q30s last year. The Q30s, I think, are $80 and maybe 89 bucks, something like that. Again, you can find them on sale. But they all compete with not just the AirPods Max, but the Sonys, the Bose, et cetera, et cetera. They're not as nice looking, quote unquote. They don't have the kind of quality fit and finish, but they are very, very good headphones. So if you're looking for something that has AirPods like features but are not AirPods, then I can't recommend the Soundcore stuff any higher. I mean, there's so much stuff out there now. There's almost no reason to spend the kind of money that people spend on AirPods in the first place, because of the high quality stuff available. But at the same time, I mean, people are not only buying AirPods because of how good they sound. In fact, they might not be that might not be the first reason that they're buying AirPods to begin with. They're buying AirPods because AirPods are now the it AirPods, or headphones. Speaking of it headphones, I saw that the Beats Studio Wireless, which were, along with the original AirPods, the first headphones to have I think it was the W1 chip at that time, but it was or the H1 chip, or whatever was the headphone specific chip. Um, those two were the first to have that chip in there. I have a pair of Beats Studio Wireless that I've had for a while. They're not, like, the noise canceling isn't as good as their competition. Their sound is, if it's your kind of sound signature, you'll like it. They're usually $350. They're on sale on Amazon today for $199, which isn't a bad price for those headphones. The one thing I'll say about the Beats Studio Wireless is that they are very comfortable, and they're very like the the actual quality of the headphones in terms of what they're made out of, et cetera, et cetera. They feel like they're well built, and I've had mine for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years at this point, and they still are. They still look basically brand new. I don't use them all the time, but they're very well. They're very well made. A lot of things have changed with Beats since Apple bought Beats. I remember MKBHD doing a video where he took a pair of Beats apart, and there was really nothing there. But I think things have changed since then. Do I have any thoughts on wire versus wireless earbuds? Wireless is convenient for moving around. Wired ones, lower price, better sound quality. Yeah, I do. I feel like wireless headphones are still in this weird area. Like wireless earbuds, it's become easier to keep them charged and just have them charged and pick them up and go. But I can't tell you how many pairs of wireless headphones I have around the house. Wireless earbuds in their little boxes. And it seems like every time I want to leave the house and go out for a walk and have earbuds in or whatever, I can't find a pair that are charged. So I end up using wired earbuds. And unfortunately, with this phone, I have to use the wired earbuds with a USB-C dongle. Now, when I'm doing that, I don't care about sound quality. I don't care about sound quality at all when I'm doing that. But when I'm at home, I'm either using over-the-ear headphones. Like I like to watch TV with headphones, and like the Sony WH-1000 XM4s are really, really good for TV watching. They hook up to the TV really quickly. The AirPods Max and the AirPods Pro both hook up to an Apple TV device pretty easily. So you can use those, and they have the 3D spatial audio thing going on. But I think wireless are convenient for something like that. But if I want to sit down and listen to music and enjoy music, I'm going to use a wired set of headphones. That's the end of that's where I'm going to draw the line. I'm going to use a wired set of headphones. Wireless are convenient. They've come a long way in terms of sound quality and that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, it's going to be really hard to recreate the fidelity of just straight wire. It's going to be really hard to recreate the potential for fidelity in that. So it's the best if you want a pair of wired headphones, like to go work out or anything like that, or just something cheap that sounds pretty good, that you don't have to worry about falling apart or getting rid of or any of that kind of thing, then I really recommend Panasonic has a set of headphones on eBay or Amazon. They had that. I forget exactly I think they're called the Ergo Fit. The Panasonic Ergo Fit. They have two different versions. One has like a microphone on it, and the other doesn't. The non-microphone version is usually less than $10, and the microphone version is usually about $12 or $13. And they sound really, really good, surprisingly good. Which I don't know how they do it. I haven't looked at how many reviews they have at this point, but they had something like 40,000 reviews and still had like a 4.5 positive review rating on Amazon. When I last looked, they're really, really good, and they're super cheap. If you have kids, especially if you have kids and kids destroy headphones, I mean, let's just be honest. You can get those things and give them to the kids for the iPads or whatever. And they come in colors, so you can get pink, you can get blue, you can get red. I think I got red when I got mine. They have to still be around here somewhere. but I don't know where they are. So, I think a lot of people are using wireless earbuds during meetings as well. You go, except for my wife. I can't get her to use headphones. Um, but but yeah, I think there's definitely a learning curve to to using earbuds with your computer in a meeting setting. I mean, somebody was talking about the the John Rettinger episode of the podcast after the Can You Trust that we did of Techno Buffalo, and his AirPods were I think that they just weren't like hooking up to his phone correctly. I don't so they weren't sounding great, but it's come a long way since then. It's a lot easier to use. I mean, a lot of people like to put one earbud in and have one free. So, if you're on a long call, you don't have to worry about the battery running out. You can swap and put the other one in, and so yeah, I really think that wireless have come a long way, and wireless is the future. Wired is niche at this point. So what do you do? I mean, it's a niche that I hope continues to exist, right? So the last thing that I had on here to discuss was the new Xiaomi Fold, or whatever. Let's what are they calling it? The Mi Mix Fold, which is going to fold in like the Galaxy Fold devices have in the Mate X2, and it's going to have some kind of liquid lens on the in the cameras. But we're looking at 8 inches by 6.52 inches. That's big, and I mean, that's one of the problems that I had with the Galaxy Fold was folded up. It was like way too. It was just way too bulky. Now maybe this is thinner. I don't know. It's going to pack a Dolby Vision HDR10 plus, maximum brightness of 600 nits, which is pretty decent. 16.9 video. The aspect ratio is a little bit better than a lot of the other folding devices were. The company also claims that its flexible screen has been tested to last for at least 1 million folds, whereas the precision hinge is good for at least 200,000 bends. So take that, Samsung. I guess. I don't know. But yeah, I still don't. We're going to see more and more folding phones. I guess this is what the liquid lens looks like. It's a bionic camera lens. So I guess it like moves. I don't know. This is all that matters is it takes good pictures. And the thing is, like, I don't remember Xiaomi being touted for their great cameras. Now, over here in the US, we don't get Xiaomi phones, we don't get Huawei phones, we don't get these things. So it's very difficult to really have anything to say about them. But it says here Snapdragon 888, which is the most recent super processor, 16 gigs of RAM. Now, it was just a couple of years ago that 8 gigs of RAM was a crazy amount of gigs of RAM. It does look like a soft contact lens, doesn't it? It looks like a soft contact lens. Oh man! So 16 gigs of RAM, which is a crazy amount, up to 512 gigs of storage, 5,020 milliamp hour battery with a 67 watt turbocharger. I mean, those are all impressive numbers. But as Jonathan points out here, all moving parts tend to break down. And I am not necessarily we haven't had the folding phones out there for long enough to really know if they stand up to multiple years of use. Um, it's yeah. So I'm not entirely sure about this. I'm anxious to see what Samsung comes up with their folding phones this year. Obviously, what we've heard is they're going to have two folding phones, at least one, the regular Fold 3 that's going to take the place of last year's Fold 2, and then also I've heard talk of a Fold FE. And the FE, the fan edition phones are usually some kind of cheaper, but I don't know of too many people other than folks who are tech enthusiasts, who are just really crazy tech enthusiasts, who would spend over $1,000. Like this one is going to be starting price $1,520 for 12 gigs of RAM and 256. Significant drop from the $2,000 mark of the Fold 2, but the Fold 2 came down in price quite a bit as well. So until these phones can be made for under $1,000, I don't see people, adopting them en masse, and I don't see it becoming a real thing. Like right now, to me, outside of the techosphere, folding phones are not a real thing. They're a curiosity that maybe some people know about. They watched, some kind of news story about it, or read something, or watched a YouTube video, but it's just a curiosity. Folding phones are not real to the rest of the world. And as soon as you tell them like starting price $1,500, they're out the door. Nobody wants to, especially something that this is the value proposition of a folding phone. No matter how many times they've been tested, no matter how much this, that, or the other thing, the value proposition of a phone is off, because you've got super high barrier to entry when you're talking about cost to buy the phone, and then no guarantee really of any kind of like sturdiness that's going to last long enough to make that investment worthwhile. That's something that ends up happening these days that a lot of people kind of miss, which is the value of buying a smartphone is going to become more and more about what do you get for the least amount of money, and how long and how well is it made, how long is it going to last, how long is it going to be supported. And I think that's a place where Android manufacturers still lag behind. I mean, I know that Samsung has said now that they're going to support phones for up to 3 years, but that's kind of a wait and see thing. Whereas what Apple has had over Samsung phones, what iPhones do that Samsung phones don't do, is last year they stopped supporting the iPhone 6 or 6S with iOS 14. And maybe the iPhone 7 is next, but maybe it gets support for one more year. And the iPhone 6S came out in 2016. So it was still being supported up through 2020 and into 2021. And 5 years worth of support is a crazy amount when you're talking about a smartphone. And there are plenty of stories of people out there still using original like iPhone 4s and 5s. And I don't know that there are very many like Galaxy S, like S2s out there, or even S6s. When was I can't tell you the last time I saw like a Galaxy 6 phone. So it's there's still that gap. And with the folding phone, that value proposition is even more sketchy. So I just don't know if the folding phone thing is going to be able to. I mean, I guess if they keep ramming it down our throats, every year there's a new folding phone and it gets a little bit cheaper and a little bit cheaper and a little bit cheaper. And if they insist that this is going to be the next form factor for phones, then eventually we'll have to give in and buy folding phones. But I can say from my experience using the Galaxy Fold 2 that it was a really cool experience, but it was also really frustrating because unfolded, I found the phone to be unwieldy. It's a little bit iffy to hold in one hand if it's all the way open, and who wants to hold it like halfway closed if you're using it? There still weren't a lot of apps that did a lot with that screen real estate. And the same thing was true for the LG phones that had the dual screen. I mean, the dual screen is super cool, and I really liked it. The LG Wing, I have an LG Wing. I haven't even covered it yet. The thing about the LG Wing is it slides out to the left. So the screen slides up to the left to make the T, the landscape screen with the portrait screen. But I'd hold my phone in my right hand and use my left, or in my left hand and use my right to do stuff. So I can't use my thumb. I guess I can take this off now. I can't use my thumb to flip that screen. So I have to do it this way, which is just cumbersome. And again, like, the Wing is a really cool phone, a really cool idea, but I just don't know that the software has caught up enough. And I haven't found myself using it very much. I haven't found myself, well, I mean, I've been using this. Nothing has pulled me away from this yet, and I got the Wing after this. So, yeah, I don't know. I am not a super enthusiastic supporter of folding phones, but other people are. So, and X Plumber says, for that high price, folding phones are still a huge letdown. People want 120 hertz, and not a crease. Yeah, I mean, the crease, I will say that the crease in the Fold 2 became less noticeable over time. However, you could still see it at different times, and being able to see it was there are too many compromises with folding phones to make them worth what they're asking for, other than for the super geeks who will enjoy the crap out of them because they are different, because they are beyond what is normal. But I've said all along that I feel like folding phones are sort of a stepping stone from the slab phones that we have now to a form factor that will come later. And we don't know what that form factor is yet. So anyway, I mean, this Xiaomi phone, though, does look solid. It does look like it makes some improvements on Samsung's Fold 2. The 16 gigs of RAM version with the 512 gigabytes of storage is 12,999 yuan, which is $1,980, which is exactly what the first Galaxy Fold cost. But at least you're getting like 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigabytes of storage, and supposedly an improved screen and hinge technology. It's heavier. I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm still not bullish on the folding phone. Now, last thing, I'm trying out different little things here during these shows, and so I went on This Day in Tech to find out what happened on This Day in Tech. And in This Day in Tech, the UNIVAC was unveiled. UNIVAC was the first computer. I guess it was commissioned by the U.S. Census because they needed a computer to count all those people. It was unveiled in 1951, and yeah, it's still used like punch cards and reels and all that kind of stuff. I don't know a lot about the UNIVAC itself, but I mean, it's amazing to me. So we're just talking about a folding phone that has more power than like the entire like moon landing mission, more computing power than ever. And back in the day, like you had to have entire floors, entire rooms to hold these computers, and they weren't even digital; they were analog. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. So that's your day in history for this, the 30th day of March, 2021. Exactly 70 years since the UNIVAC computer was delivered to the U.S. Census Bureau, and thus computing began. Um, yeah, Hugo asked, "What is the life cycle of a smartphone? 2 to 3 years." I think that yes, it is for most people it is. However, I think that most smartphones are built to last longer. For an Android phone, Android phones are only supported with new software for that long, so there's kind of a built-in obsolescence there. But I don't know. You can definitely use a lot of, especially the flagship phones that are really well made. Um, those guys can run for much longer than that. So I don't know. I don't know. And yes, I think X Plumber, you're right. The Univac was basically a building sized calculator. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much that's what it was. But it was like the beginning. I guess it says here, it it went for, so we had in the 1890s, then the Herman Hollerith punch card calculator. I don't know enough about the ancient history of computers to know. It does say here that IBM delivered the IBM 7090 just 8 years later, and it looks like it wasn't the size of a building, or at least like it looks somewhat smaller. So, and it says here that some of these IBM computers were used into the 80s. So talk about 2 to 3 year lifespan for a smartphone. Here we have like a 3 to 4 decade lifespan for for this IBM mainframe computer. It's incredible. It's incredible. So, but anyway, folks, that is the show for today. I'm going to get a glass of water, finish off my coffee, have something for lunch. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Much appreciated. Great conversations, great everything. Not gonna do a stream tonight, obviously, for the regular Painfully Honest podcast time, because I did this today. But I'll be back tomorrow again for another episode of Painfully Honest Daily, and I'll just see how much I can do of this daily thing without falling over. No, I should be able to do a 1 hour show 5 days a week, right? So that's what that's what I'm gonna do. And hopefully there's always like news that I can talk about. But anyway, folks, thanks so much for being here. Again, as a thank you to Restream, the sponsor of these podcasts, live streams, whatever it is, check out Restream if you have any streaming needs whatsoever. There is a free option, plus more if you pay, and they are paying me to feed my family. So I appreciate it very much, and I really do like this service better than what I've used before. A little bit easier, a little less buggy. So anyway, you guys have a great day. Once again, my name is Jason. This has been Painfully Honest Daily, a daily show that I guess is so honest. I got to think of a tagline to get out of this. But anyway,